Hook. The rain poured like a waterfall that night, cold, endless, and merciless. In the corner of a dimly lit bus stop sat a young woman clutching a worn-out notebook to her chest, her eyes red from tears. The city lights blurred through the raindrops, and her lips trembled as she whispered, "Why does kindness never come back?" But what she didn't know was that the man sitting 2 seats away, silent, soaked, and broken in his own way, was about to change her life forever. Maya had always believed that hard work was the key to happiness. At 28, she worked 2 jobs, rarely slept, and told herself she was fine, even when she wasn't. Her life was a series of routines: wake up, rush to the cafe, serve coffee to impatient strangers, smile through exhaustion, and return to her tiny rented room, where silence felt louder than anything else. Her walls were bare except for a single quote she had written years ago: "Be thankful, even when it hurts." But lately, even that felt like a lie. One morning, she spilled coffee on a rude customer's expensive suit. The man yelled, demanded her manager, and stormed out, leaving Maya trembling. Her co-workers exchanged pitying glances but said nothing. That night, her paycheck was cut for the damage. She walked home through the rain, her heart heavy. "Why me?" she muttered to the sky. "I work so hard. I never get anything back." At the bus stop, she met an old woman selling handmade bracelets. The woman's wrinkled hands trembled as she smiled. "Buy one, child. Each bead carries a blessing." Maya sighed. "I don't need blessings. I need a break." The old woman chuckled softly. "Sometimes the two are the same." Maya didn't buy the bracelet. She went home angry, tired, and convinced the world was unfair. That night, she wrote in her notebook, not about dreams, but about disappointments. Page after page, she poured out her frustration, her loneliness, her anger. By the time she stopped, she had written the same sentence 3 times. "No one ever says thank you." The next day, on her way to work, she saw the same old woman sitting by the road again. But this time, she wasn't selling. Her cart was overturned, beads scattered across the wet pavement. People walked past without a glance. Something inside Maya hesitated. For a brief moment, she thought of walking away too. She was already late, and her boss had no patience. But something in the woman's eyes stopped her. Maya knelt down, helping her gather the beads one by one. They were small, delicate, glimmering faintly in the morning sun. When they finished, the old woman smiled, holding Maya's hand tightly. "You have a kind heart," she said softly. "Don't let the world harden it." Maya shrugged, embarrassed. "It's not kind. It's just the right thing to do." The woman placed a single bracelet in Maya's palm. It was a simple design: brown thread, tiny glass beads, and a silver charm that read, "Gratitude. No payment," the woman said. "Only promise me this: when your heart feels empty, look at it and remember that kindness always returns. Just not always in the way we expect." Maya wanted to smile, but her chest felt tight. "Thank you," she whispered. It was the first genuine thank you she had spoken in weeks. That night, as she lay in bed, she noticed the bracelet catching the faint light from her window. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone. She thought about the woman, about the people who passed by without stopping, and about herself. The version of her who almost walked away too. She turned on her side, touched the bracelet gently, and said the words that had once been her truth, but now felt like a prayer. "Be thankful, even when it hurts." Well, she didn't know it yet. But that simple act of gratitude, that whisper in the dark, would soon lead her to a stranger who'd lost faith in life altogether, and together they would discover how powerful a thankful heart could truly be. The next morning, the city felt colder than usual. The sky was gray, the streets were half awake, and Maya's breath came out in small white clouds as she waited for the bus. The bracelet still clung to her wrist, glinting faintly under the weak sunlight. She ran her fingers over the silver charm. Gratitude. A strange calm washed over her, though she didn't understand why. When the bus finally arrived, it was almost full. Maya slid into the only empty seat beside a man who looked like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were neat but worn, his hair slightly disheveled, and his eyes. They carried the kind of emptiness that only heartbreak could carve. He was staring blankly out the window when Maya sat down. For a long while, neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was heavy, like two souls too tired to pretend. A few stops later, the bus jolted suddenly. The man dropped a small photo from his hand. Maya bent down and picked it up before it slid under the seat. It was a picture of a smiling woman holding a baby boy. The kind of photo that smelled of love and memories. "You dropped this," Maya said softly. He looked at the photo, his expression tightening. "Thanks." She hesitated, sensing his pain but unsure if she should ask. Finally she said, "Your family." He nodded slowly. "Was my wife and son." Maya's heart sank. "I'm sorry." He forced a faint smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Don't be. It's been a year. I still can't figure out how to live without them." The words hit her like cold wind. She didn't know what to say, so she stayed quiet. The man looked out the window again. "You know, I used to be grateful for everything. The small things, the chaos, even the struggles. My wife always said gratitude keeps your heart soft. But when they died in that accident," his voice cracked. Gratitude felt like a cruel joke. Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I understand that," she whispered. "When life keeps hurting you, it's hard to see any reason to be thankful." He turned to her for the first time, studying her face. "And yet you wear that bracelet." Maya looked down, surprised. "You noticed?" He nodded. "The word gratitude. It's not something people wear without meaning." She smiled faintly. "Someone gave it to me. Said kindness comes back when you least expect it." The man chuckled dryly. "I used to believe that." "Maybe." Maya said quietly, "You still can." The bus grew silent again. Outside, the city blurred into streaks of gray and gold. Maya found herself telling him about her life. Her double shifts, her loneliness, her exhaustion, and the old woman at the bus stop. He listened, and for the first time in months, she felt heard. When she finished, he sighed. "You know," he said, "you remind me of my wife. She always helped people, even when she had nothing to give." Maya smiled softly. "Maybe that's why she'd want you to keep living with a thankful heart." He didn't answer, but his eyes shimmered, a mixture of pain and realization. When the bus reached her stop, Maya stood up. "Take care of yourself," she said, meaning it more deeply than she expected. He looked up at her. "Thank you for talking to me." She hesitated, then slipped off the bracelet and placed it in his palm. "I think you need this more than I do." Before he could respond, she smiled and stepped off the bus. The doors closed, and the bus rolled away, carrying both her gift and something unseen. A piece of her hope, perhaps. That night, Maya walked home feeling strangely lighter. She missed the bracelet's warmth on her wrist. But she couldn't stop thinking about the man's broken voice, the photo of his family, and how a few words between strangers could change the way hearts beat again. She reached her small room and opened her notebook. For the first time in weeks, she didn't write about pain. Instead, she wrote a single line in neat handwriting. "A thankful heart doesn't erase sorrow. It transforms it." She smiled faintly, closed the book, and turned off the light. 1 week later, Maya was wiping tables at the cafe when her manager called her name. "Someone left this for you." It was a small envelope, no return address. Inside was a letter written in careful handwriting, and the bracelet. "Dear Maya, you don't know what that moment meant to me. That day, I was on my way to end my life. I had no strength left, no reason to stay. But you reminded me that gratitude isn't about what we have. It's about the people who still make the world gentle. Even in pain." I went back to that old bus stop you told me about. The woman wasn't there, but I helped another vendor who had fallen. I said thank you when she smiled back. It was the first time I'd said those words in a year. Keep wearing your heart the way you do. The world needs it. Maya read the letter 3 times, tears blurring the ink. She slipped the bracelet back on and looked out the cafe window. The rain had started again, soft, endless, and peaceful. This time, she didn't see it as cold or cruel. She saw it as cleansing, as if the sky itself was saying thank you in its own language. Closing scenes, narration for YouTube ending. Sometimes, the smallest act of gratitude can heal what pain once destroyed. Maya and Arman, 2 strangers bound by loss, found peace not in what they received, but in what they gave. Because the power of a thankful heart isn't in fixing the world, it's in keeping it kind.